today we are going to go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so our first topic of conversation, and I'm going to go panelist by panelist for this one. Number one, I'm going to start with Dawn Maddox. Dawn, where do you start? You got this email program, whatever it is. It could be MailChimp. At E&B, we have Resora. Where do you start?
So I started actually with Resora when I first got into real estate. So that would have been, I was with Windermere at that time, and that would have been in 2010. I do feel like there's a lot of other agents, of course, from other brokerages that do the same thing now. But when I very first started, I will say I had banks even reach out to me and say, can you add these people to your list? And can you add these people to your database? So over time, I think my direct email contacts now is over 2,000. And those are the ones that I know are opening and engaging and paying attention to what I'm sending out. So that's kind of how I started. We started by doing market stats. Again, I feel like everybody's kind of jumped on that and a lot of people are doing it now. But I kind of built that reputation over time by starting it initially. And so the first of every month, usually by the 5th or 6th, we mail out market stats for the month prior. And then mid-month, usually between the 15th and the 20th, we send out new listings, price improvements, new things going on the market. I recently added video to my emails that we send out, and the engagement has gone up, has increased substantially. So I highly recommend that. And we did notice, and I think again, because so many people now are doing the market stats, my second email of the month is the one that gets the most interaction. And what I love about Resora is you can actually see what people are clicking on. So you can see what listings they're looking at, you can see what things they're watching, and then you have the ability to reach out to them later. So some of my bigger listings actually 100% came from my email campaigns because I can see who clicks more than once and have the ability to reach out to them. So maybe I went more than your question, but that is how it started.
No, that's okay. It's an open-ended question. I want you guys to answer these as best as you can. That was awesome. Thank you so much. How about Lisa? Lisa Stone, what advice would you give somebody on how to get started with an email campaign? Like what type of topics to cover? What would you figure out? Where do you start?
Well, I started out actually importing from my Gmail emails to capture the people that I was constantly talking to, on email, whether it be just, buyers, sellers, attorneys, really everybody, my sphere. And I started importing that into Resora. I pretty much, everything that Dawn said, I pretty much have to agree that I did the same. I've done the same thing with a lot of the templates. I have, some of the things that I like is it's called the static ready to send. And I've been very successful with that. People like to see different things besides, new to market and newsletters. The static emails are really, I think they're very inviting. And again, what Dawn said is that I agree is that you can see who's picking them up, on a regular basis, and you can reach out to them. So that's pretty much how I started. And, I'm consistent all the time, every month, I have my calendar as well. And it's great. It's the best $30 you could spend every month.
Yeah, agreed. And $30 specifically for Resora she's talking about. So
yeah.
And I like that you said you uploaded your Gmail contacts in there. Another thing you can do too is you can, upload contacts from your CRM if you have a CRM, Chime or Follow Up Boss or Lions Desk or whatever it is that you use. And you can also go into LinkedIn and you can also upload all of your contacts from there too, which is pretty powerful. LinkedIn has a nice feature. So if you want to get in front of the audience, and we're going to talk a little bit later on about how not to spam the heck out of people. So when they see your email, they pick it up. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. We're going to jump over to Robert Rogers out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Robert, how did you get started with this? And what are your tips for getting started?
So as a programmer, I was always a little bit skeptic of using new platforms. And I back in the day, I wrote my own mail blast for a restaurant I was associated with. And then when I got into real estate, I used MailChimp, and then that was success. That was okay. But once I saw the pieces that Engel & Volkers was coming out for their advisors, it's like, well, why do I need to reinvent the wheel? Why don't I just use this? So it's definitely a $30 well spent. So if you're not on Resora, do it. It's your duty as representing your brand. And then as far as, getting, of course, my sphere is in there. But one way that I reach out is I actually acquire email addresses per neighborhood from my title company. And so I do specific marketing pieces per address, because what people want to see is specifically, as I know them here in Scottsdale, is like, if you're living on Calla, you want to know what your neighbor is selling, and just stat numbers alone don't do that. But when you give them what your neighbor's house has sold for, they open that. And then that is my number one open. I get a 2 to 3% open rate versus the industry standard of 1. So I do a neighborhood specific on what my opens are. And then I get calls and emails based upon those.
That's pretty impressive. So your emails get 3 times the open rate of the industry. Click rate, you mean, right?
Click rate. And the number one thing that they view is the MLS data. Well, the MLS data where they can see coming soons, which is not publicly available. They can see what their neighborhood sold for, the pendings, the under contracts, because they want to know what their neighborhood's doing. And then besides just being nosy neighbors, it's actual data that they can use.
Now I'm showing you guys right now on the screen one of Robert's emails. And Robert, I had to put this up here because I love the fact that you're not just sending a blank Happy New Year spammy email. I hate those, by the way. It's like,
right.
We have one mortgage company, all like 8 or 9 loan officers send us the same email. Talk about just a waste of time, cluttering boxes. I don't open any of their emails now. Consumers are the same. And if you live in this market, and you're a homeowner, you want to know what's happening there. Not only that, but Robert does a great job of putting local events in there. I mean, this is beautiful. So
right.
And
it's specifically for Desert Mountain. Desert Mountain is a more affluent neighborhood. It's a golf community. It's 2 million price point is the median price point. They want to know how many days on market it's going to take if they're going to sell their house, and then what is the close to list sold ratio, which is when you click on that MLS link, you get that data live.
Yes,
link is only good for 3 days.
Absolutely. So one other quick question I have for you, Robert. Beautiful email. Thank you so much. The other question I have for you is, you were talking about a title company and getting data, getting emails from a title company. Can you explain exactly what you meant by that? I kind of got lost.
Well, title companies in our state, everywhere, I'm sure, but every state is different. Title companies here, they serve realtors, and one of the things we want is data. We don't want addresses because we can get that for free. I want email addresses and phone numbers. Well, phone numbers cost a lot more than email addresses do. So the email addresses, my title company will get for me for free as long as I continue to use them. So I can just say, I want this neighborhood with this root address, and then I'll get a list of 2,000 email addresses. I'll do one blast. I'll get like 8% unsubscribes, and the rest people, they live there, and then I get maybe 1 or 2 unsubscribes every month because they usually move out, and then they open it every time.
Okay, awesome. That's a huge takeaway. I think that's going to be one of our biggest takeaways of where to collect localized data. Contact your local title companies, whichever state you're in, ask them if they have access to that type of data. Now make sure it's a title company that you use, so you're not just calling, asking for stuff. Great tip. Thank you so much, Robert. Nice job. Good stuff. All right. So that is round 1 of our questions. Round 2, we want to know what your overall strategies are, right? So, Don, having sold, I think he did like 78 million last year, if I got the number right, 78 million in sales, Don.
Last year, but can I talk about the year before? Because I did 168 million that year. So I kind of like to stick with that one, if you don't mind.
All right. So we'll talk about that. So 168 million. Wow. All right. So obviously what you're doing is working. What is your overall strategy with your emails? I saw you have some video. You had, I think, your kid on.
And I will say, for anyone that has a grandbaby, that is a great strategy. My engagement is always really high when I put my little grandbaby on there because he's so stinking cute. But I think that anything personally that you can put up that makes people feel a little bit connected helps. So the comments I get when I show a picture from one of our trips or one of our vacations with my own kids and some of their successes, I always have a high success rate. So truthfully, I don't think I'd even be on social media if it weren't for work and I didn't feel like I had to connect. But part of my strategy, and especially with kind of putting personal things out there, is those always get such high engagement. And I do that strategically, knowing I want to promote a new listing. So once I get, 300 likes because I put my grandbaby up on even on my social media, then I hit a new listing because I know that I have more eyes looking at stuff. So I mean, that sounds a little shallow, but quite frankly, it works. So that is something that I'm pretty strategic about. I think the main thing is just engagement and content. And I think now that everyone's sending out emails and providing market data, I think it's important to provide good content. They don't want to just see a video of me talking about myself or talking about the market or, because they can get that from any of the realtors. So I try to provide good content and answers to maybe questions. So, but I mean, I say that, but again, the most engagement I get is either from personal things or from new listings and price improvements. People, I think, are just curious. And I know someone said it earlier, they want to see what their neighbors are doing and they want to know what's going on in their market. And there's no better information on that than what has actually sold.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what is on your email list? I think the industry average is maybe 12% open rate and a 1% click rate when people are clicking on links. What are your email campaigns bringing in?
I have Katie sitting here, so I'm going to ask her really quick. I think I know I'm over 2%. And I want to say around 18%. So, and again, I think that just because we've narrowed down, like the 2,000 that we have are people that are truly engaging. So certainly there's a lot that aren't. She's just showing me here. Was I right?
19.5.
Oh, 19.5% and 2.9%. So really good engagement. And again, I just think I'm constantly thinking about how to make sure people stay on. I think I usually only get about one unsubscribe, maybe every 4 emails that go out. And they're usually people that have moved to another state and they're just not interested in Montana anymore.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. And unsubscribes are okay because you really want to be targeting who wants to see your emails.
Absolutely.
That's totally okay. That's great. Thank you so much. Lisa Stone. Okay. So what is your overall strategy with these emails, with your email campaigns?
Well, I've had some great success with new listings. I think it has to do with my area, maybe because we are a second vacation community and people are very curious about, the properties along the water and just the general areas. So I've had pretty good open rate on them, on those particular emails. Not as good as Dawn. I have an 8%, so maybe I need to up my ante on some of the other things that I'm sending out. But I would say the new to market and those static emails are really terrific. I think the headlines on them are very intriguing. Well, that's a new to market, but some of the other ones, Emilio, like they say, are you ready to buy? And, it just has a little saying about, why you should be buying or looking to buy now, or why you're looking to sell. And, I've had success rate with those. I think it's just a matter of, saying the right thing in the line of the email that seems to intrigue people to just get them to open it up.
Absolutely. So this one right here, what I like, this is our newsletter template, right? And this is the December newsletter template. So if anybody is in Resora, and I don't think Resora is not exclusive to Engel and Volker. So if somebody's not in E&V and they want to try Resora, you can. But at Engel and Volker's, we have full-blown templates where you can plug and play, which is beautiful. Even this carousel, you can put your own listing photos in there. And I love this because we get to showcase, you put your feeder markets in here where people are moving to and from, and you get to showcase that and connect with other realtors, other advisors at E&B and ping pong referrals back and forth. There's also what I like about this one here you used, Lisa, is that there's content in here. There's the global market insight with Hong Kong, right? There's other things that we can download. I love this. Our shops, our members. So this is great content as well to be putting out there. And you don't have to recreate the wheel, like Robert said. It's all there. It's fantastic. And it's branded and it looks on point. This is not stuff made in Microsoft Paint. This is beautiful, clickable marketing materials. Good stuff. Thank you, Lisa.
And can I add one more thing?
Of course.
What I also have found is that on new listings, I have the click on button on a new listing. And people will click on that button and it goes right to my website where I have the MLS link. And that's where people will sign in and look. And you could see that. They'll sign on, they'll create an account, and that's really good because then they're seeing the local properties available in the MLS.
I love that. And, Robert also did something. Thank you, Lisa. We're going to move over to Robert now. Robert, you did something that was really great. You used Cloud Attract through Cloud CMA, the home value estimate tool. And this tool is really great because you can make landing pages of different markets and you can have people find their home value tools. So you can use this in a bunch of different ways to get that out there, but you used the email campaign. I'm sure that some of your strategy is obviously to get listings, but I just want to give you a shout out for that. I think that was great. So Robert, how are you using Resora email campaigns to increase your business? What's your strategy?
So it's a marketing touch point. So there's one. Two is the Instagram stuff that you see. I get 3,000 to 30,000 likes and follows on that. But the main thing is I target the neighborhoods, and with that I have I'm in 3 magazines that's going to be in those neighborhoods. I'm going to be the front page, the back page, and inside page for some of the golf communities. I'm going to be in some of the grocery stores targeted on their cell phones. So when they come home, I'll be on their ads for that. I have 200,000 touch points for that. And then, for community events, I'll be out there with my partner and we have these playing cards that says, do your next deal with us. And we hand these out, no one's going to throw away playing cards because everybody always needs a set of playing cards. So we use that as well. So that we're always in their face.
Wow, that's great. So it's not, and the thing too, which I think you hit the nail on the head, is it's not only about doing one thing, right? It's, actually, Skylar Santa Barbara here, she runs our marketing. She's been a huge help with this. Thank you so much, Skylar. She posted something on social media the other day, and it showed a seed being planted, and it said something along the lines of, the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. The day you plant your seed is not the day you eat the seed, is not the day you eat your fruit. And it showed the progression of a tree growing. It takes time, it takes a massive amount of energy, and it takes doing many different things to really get going in real estate or to increase your business. And this is one of the many tools we have in our toolbox that we can use. Now, thank you so much, Robert. Let's jump into the data. Now, Dawn, you mentioned data insights, and I love that because that's one of our topics. When you are in Resora, or other email platforms, there's different things you can see. You can see who clicked on what they opened, who opened the emails, who unsubscribed, this or that. So how do you use this to go ahead and prospect or get sellers or buyers?
So Hampton Trail would be a good example of that. I had a list of one of our private golf club. I had their membership list, And I don't think that I was supposed to, but I added all of those contact and all that contact information into my database. And one of the listing that I have right now, which I would love for someone to bring a buyer, Hampton Trail, listed at 10,500,000. That came 100% from Resora. So once I had those names collected and sent out emails, I could see that the owner of that listing kept clicking and kept opening my email. So I just emailed her directly and just said, hey, I noticed that, you opened my email. I would, love to connect with you. Is there any way I can help you? Not even knowing the value of their home. And then she said, yes, actually, we're just getting ready to list with Christie's, but we would love to talk to you. And so I was able to secure that appointment and get that listing. So I would say, of course, first quarter is a little bit slower, but pretty much at least once a month between the two emails, I get at least one lead, either a new buyer that's been in my database or someone getting ready to list. So I think it's just so important to stay in front of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to actually show, that the network here, something that we did here in Rhode Island to sell one of our listings, and we used the insights to actually procure a buyer. Now, this house was not selling. I mean, it was sitting. So what we did was we started the subject line of 3% co-broke. Okay. And not a lot of listings in Rhode Island have a 3% co-broke. A lot of them here are 2%, whatever. Okay. So we started it with that. And then we saw who opened the emails, who engaged with the emails, who looked at the emails, who clicked view property, who clicked book your showings and didn't go through. And we did a personal outreach to all of the agents, because this went to all the agents in Rhode Island that are actively selling in surrounding Massachusetts and Connecticut. We contacted them and we sold this listing that was sitting and that was dead. Okay. So we then showed our client the results from this, and our client was absolutely floored. He was thrilled at this. So that's another way too. So good stuff, Dawn. Thank you so much for your background in that. And we wanted to share that one too. Good stuff. Lisa, do you use the insights at all? Lisa Stone Del Rey, do you use the insights at all to, see who's looking at your stuff, see who to make personal outreach to? And if so, what do those conversations look like?
I have multiple, I don't know if everybody knows this, but you could break out your lists by, whatever you want. So for example, I have buyers, I have sellers, I have clients. Like Dawn, I have a list of condo buildings that I was able to obtain a list of emails. So I pretty much do the same thing where I'll send out a specific email to those lists, and then I call. And that's what I actually have been doing the last few weeks, is just calling, say, to people that I've maybe sold properties to. I'm now calling them, seeing if they are interested in maybe listing, because the market's opening up and there might be other opportunities to maybe scale up. And it's very helpful. You do see the people clicking on, and it's actually kind of fun to watch it. You don't want to waste too much time, but it's kind of fun to see the people that, are clicking 50 times on the same email in a matter of a half an hour. I don't know what they're doing with their time, but, but it's great. It's a great source. So I use it for cold calling, not cold calling, but following up and just reaching out.
Yeah, absolutely. I love when I see somebody clicking on a specific property or on what's my home worth, but they didn't fill out the form completely, or they didn't reach out. I will send them something in the mail, snail mail. So I'll send them the E&V card with my business card in it. And just say, hey, it's Emilio. I'm reaching out because the inventory is low in your neighborhood. Here's a quick recap of what's happening. Give me a call if you're interested in the next 12 months or so to look at selling your home. I wax seal that thing, boom, send it out. It gets opens, it gets calls. People do that. So kind of get them from different ways, put something in their hand, and at the very least, they've got your business card in your hands. Good stuff. Thank you, Lisa. Robert Rogers. Okay, so Robert, man, with your background in technology, all things technology, right?
Yeah.
How are you using these insights? Really curious.
It's snooping, but I mean, I'm such an analyst. That's what I live for is that kind of data stuff. I used to curate. One of the things that I adjusted what I put out was I used to spend a lot of time curating content for some of these newsletters, and like architectural things, how to do it yourself project. Nobody clicks on those in this market. Nobody. So that was a time sink that I don't spend anymore, and they want to see inside their neighbors' homes. That's the number one thing they click on. So it adjusted what I send out and how much time I spend. I noticed that, Don, I think you had some of those, neat, home tip things. Nobody clicks on that here, like zero. And so I just use it to, how do I change my what I put out. And of course, I do snoop at, who's looking at it. And then they get a call and an email or a lunch or an invitation to come in and do a listing presentation.
Wow, that's great. And, one thing that I'm hearing from all of our panelists is basically just reading in between the lines, knowing who you're sending your content to, right? Because a luxury home seller or a luxury home buyer is not going to want to see first-time home buyer advice.
Right.
And same thing, vice versa, right? A first-time home buyer is not going to want to see, how to sell your $1 million mansion or multi-million-dollar mansion. It's important. And one of the things that I would strongly urge anybody on this video, on this Zoom conference, is never just send blanket Happy New Year's, happy whatever it is, happy 4th of July, whatever, without content under it that serves the viewer. Because again, and people say, well, it gets your name in front of them. Yeah, it gets your name in front of them as spam.
Yep.
Right. And your open rates are going to plummet. They're going to hit the floor. So that's my suggestion there. Great stuff. Thank you, Robert. All right. So we have some questions from our viewers. So one of them was what content to add without being spammy. I think we just answered that. Content that's highly curated. Make lists of people in Chime or in your CRM, whatever it is that you use. Put your people into certain categories. Second-time buyers, second home buyers, whatever it is, relocation. Okay, so we'll skip that one. So the next one is how to tie email marketing into apps like the home valuation tool. We're going to go ahead and jump to Robert because I saw that you do that. So Robert, how are you tying in the Cloud CMA, Cloud Attract, which is in IPS? How are you adding that tool to your email?
Well, I mean, it's just a link is really all it is what's my home worth? So if people want to know that, it's right there for them to click on. It's also in my email signature. And in the case of this marketing push that I have going on for the first half of the year, I have a lot of online ads where they will click on it and get to my other website that is me and my partner that will have not only just what's my home worth, but also search the MLS for a home value and also a list of all my listings that we have.
I love it. And I love that you said it's also in your email signature. So guys, One of the best tools that we have, and I haven't been doing this, but one of the best things we can do is we can put a call to action in the bottom of our email signature. So if you are using Cloud Attract or any type of home value estimate, the biggest thing that home sellers want to know right now more than anything is what their home is worth, even if they're not going to sell it. This is the hottest thing right now. This was hot a few, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Facebook ads are huge right now. AdWorks, by the way, are you using AdWorks, Robert, to put those ads out there, the home value?
No, I actually have a third-party vendor out of Florida that I'm trying on this to see how well they do. It isn't anything against AdWorks. Again, I'm stubborn on some things because I used to write this stuff, but I'm trying something different.
Okay, awesome. So I have used AdWorks and I have had success. I've just been using it for a week and I have 4 campaigns out there in 4 different luxury markets here in Rhode Island. And AdWorks that just have a basic graphic that says, see what your, if it's Narragansett in Rhode Island or Barrington or East Greenwich, home is worth, click here, boom, they click it. And a lot of people will only type in their address and then they'll see that we're asking for their email and they'll get out, but we've captured their address. And then we can send them snail mail and just stay in front of them and stay aware. Dawn, now you've added other components, other things in there, different guides and whatnot. It's pretty easy to do, and you're putting buttons on there where people can download that. Any extra insights you can share with that, with what you're adding and why?
No, I think again, we just try to add things that we think people will be interesting or things that are kind of relevant. One thing I wanted to mention, I think it is really important. I always, in all of my videos and in my letters that kind of go, I always do a personalized letter that goes out with my emails. Just make sure you're thanking everyone, thank them for their business, be grateful for the fact that they're opening your email and that they're engaging, and then promote your social. I mean, that's a good opportunity for you to promote your social media as well. So, I mean, to answer your question, I think we just try to, again, just pick things that we think are relevant, which I think through my click-through numbers that is working.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Dawn Maddox. And we're going to jump over to Lisa. Lisa, one of our guests asked the following questions. How do you keep your past clients engaged?
Resora. I mean, and calling them, I mean, I think any marketing, company will tell you, you have to make some type of a touch, every week. So why not use Resora as one of them? Besides a phone call, of course. But, we get so caught up in our days as realtors, you're going to forget to call somebody. So let Resora do the work for you. And then, of course,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another question, actually, I'm going to jump into right here is how often are you sending out your emails? Is it weekly? It sounds weekly. Is it weekly?
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes bi-weekly. I mean, it kind of depends. I have a few standards that I do send out, every month. But then according to, new to market, and other variables, I'll send out a few a week.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to jump back to Dawn. Dawn, you've got those personalized videos in your emails, right? And do you find that a really great way to keep your past clients engaged? Because your past clients know you personally now. Do you think that's a great way to do it?
I do. I mean, I think it not only kind of maintains your relationship and maintains that rapport that you've created with them, but again, they feel connected to you. And like I said, like my grandbaby one, I just had so many people respond to the email. And so even though you're sending out kind of a mass email, when you can add that personal touch, people feel connected to you. And I do think that's so important. Also, my grandbaby's in his high chair watching us right now. So everybody maybe give him a little wave. So I just think that personal touch has been so important for me, just especially, I mean, and I think in most markets can say this, but in our market, there are 1 billion realtors. Everybody's getting their license and everybody, we all kind of know the same kind of pool of people. So the more you can stay engaged with them, I think kicking off 2023, one of my goals is to kind of reconnect with some of my past clients that I haven't talked to in a while. Even though you're friends on social media, you don't necessarily, have the time to get together with them. So while things are slower in first quarter, I'm making an effort to 2 to 3 times a week. I'm having lunch or grabbing an appetizer and a drink with a past client. And I think, anything I can do to kind of, again, just create that rapport and stay in front of them.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you very much. Robert, you do a lot on social media and you tie it into, I seen you had a big picture on your email blast of you and another advisor in your office. And, you guys just do a ton of social media content together. Do you find that getting a lot of clicks? I feel like it does. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, we do get a lot of clicks.
Yeah.
A lot of views, a lot of clicks, a lot of, and it takes, literally 2 weeks to get through one post that we do that, because people are late to the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got like just now, I just got like another 100 clicks and likes and follows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now you're somebody that analyzes everything. You're a data guy, right?
Yep. Too much.
Tell us about how many emails a year do you think you send out? Is it 52? Is it 25? And out of all those emails, how many sales have you converted due to those emails?
So I look at it from the standpoint of I don't want to be spammed. So then I don't want to have the approach that I'm spamming them as well. I will spam other realtors all the time because that's what we do. It's like, here's some listings to worry about or to pay attention to. I'll do no more than 2 a month to the general public. And that's it. They'll get the monthly, and then they'll get like maybe a follow-up, like if like a holiday thing, and then that's it. No more than that. As far as conversion, I just had one this year. It was a 6-month court battle. That's a story for another time. I would say the success rate isn't as much as you would think, but there is a lot of work. I mean, as far as I get a lot of listing presentations. I just want to know what my home is worth. You know, I've had a handful of listings over the past year. You know, not in the hundreds, not in the tens, well, not in the 20s, but about probably maybe 15. I get a lot of buyers that say, "Can you? I want you to show me this house or help me buy this house as well."
Yep. Perfect. So you're getting up to bat. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. So this is literally getting up to bat. So if you can get, let's just say if you do this and you do this consistently well, even if you get one listing from this, that one listing brings other listings. It brings other buyers. It's an endless spider web effect. So when people are like, what can I do for my business? You can take one tool at a time out of your toolbox and you can use that tool. And the more stuff you throw against the wall, the more stuff that's going to stick. And I can guarantee every single one of our panelists, being top agents, top advisors on this panel, do multiple different things. And again, this is just one of them, which is fantastic, which is really great. Thank you so much. How about this, Robert, while we have you, what is your top to do and top not to do with emails?
To send them out. Have relevant content. Think about your audience. That's the number one thing. Know your audience. If you don't know your audience, you're just spamming. You have to know your audience. And that increased my open and click rate, is knowing your audience. What not to do is don't just, I used to, when I started Resora, I just used to let the automatic EV thing happen. And now I don't let that happen. I send everyone out with intent and purpose.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you. Lisa, your top to do and top do not do for email campaigns.
Well, I have one motto: quality, not quantity. So just, send out relevant information to your lists, your audience. And I think that's key.
Awesome. Thank you. Dawn Maddox. What about one top thing to do, one top thing not to do?
Oh, I wish you didn't call on me first for that one. Let me think. I think one thing too, and I should have maybe mentioned this in the getting started portion, everyone that reaches out to me, and I get a lot of leads through my social media, everyone that reaches out to me through our website, through my website, through social media, any lead that I get, Zillow, any of those leads, I automatically transfer those leads into the Resora database. Social media, when they say, can you send me this listing? I don't just send it in the direct message link. I ask them for their contact information. Very rarely do they not respond, because usually they are, they're asking about a specific listing. So I would just say one thing to do is just every person that you come in contact with, get them in your database. One thing not to do, I think we've touched on this, I don't spam. So I don't do more than 2 a month. Even when there's an event, if it's Christmas, I kind of make sure I maybe time that second email closer to Christmas. And then the beginning of that Christmas holiday week, I send out a message that does include Christmas. So I just make sure I don't spam. I don't send out, I know we've all seen, recipes and don't forget to winterize your house in the winter. And I try to avoid those because nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
So I think that that would be my biggest don't, is just don't irritate people. Keep it clean, make sure it has good content. And something I see a lot is, again, talk about the market, talk about information, talk about relevant information, engage enough that they're interested in what you're doing, but it's not really about you. It's kind of about the market and things that will interest them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. We got a lot of questions about farming and about tying your real estate emails into a farm. And Robert, you touched upon this. I think you do a really fantastic job in the Scottsdale area of farming. And can you just quickly go over that again, how you're using your emails in farming?
Well, again, I target specific neighborhoods. And, all of these are golf communities. So also I will be in print on their coffee table, because these are magazines that they subscribe to and they will put on their table. But I give information that over the years that I've noticed that they are hungry for, which is, I want to know what my neighbor's house is selling for. And when you click on that list, you'll get what the list price was and the sales price was. So there's no ambiguity about price. And they can see what they listed for, because they always know that, but they never really know what it sells for unless they're really savvy. And the pictures, they want to know what their neighbor's looking like if they're not friendly with them. And that is the number one thing that people want to know. Open houses, I'll have like a sheet of homes for sale in the area, and then they'll take a picture of that, or I can email it to you if I get your email address. I never make them sign in, but by requirement. It's always, if you want to work with me, then you will give me your information.
Does anybody here use QR codes that bring people to either a Google form or any type of place? You can use the QR codes on postcards. You can use the QR codes on open house sheets. You can use QR codes on your marketing. Is anybody here using QR codes for that?
I've used them before, and it depends on the kind of neighborhood where you're going to be. It just depends on the clientele. It goes back to know your audience.
Yeah. So maybe places with older audiences may not get as many hits, but I gotta say, I think that this is a growing trend, because COVID helped us out with this. When restaurants, the menus, you had to scan them. The technology is there and it is now being used. And I would say that this is one of the most underutilized things. So I think if you go to there's free ways to generate QRs. One of them is if you have Chrome. So you right click on the screen and click create QR code for this page.
Yeah.
Boom, and it creates a free QR code. And you can go ahead and use this QR code anywhere. The problem with this is there's a big dinosaur in the middle. Okay. So that's the cheap free version. And I don't know about you, but with me, when I'm putting marketing out there, I don't want a dinosaur. I want my company logo in there, right? So if you go to QR-generator, you can go ahead and do that. And it also tracks where your clicks are coming in from. There is a cost to it, $16 a month, but well worth it. Put it on your postcards, put it on your flyers, put it on your stuff, and start generating some traffic to your pages. What were you going to say, Robert?
Yeah, so there's also QR Monkey that will do that for free with a logo in there. It doesn't give you the metrics on the QR, but using your data on your own websites, you can still know where they're coming from.
Wow, fantastic. I just spent $16 this morning on QR generator, but QR Monkey does it for free. That's great. Cool. We've covered a lot of grounds. Does anybody have Adobe Express also free? Thank you, Robert. Does anybody have any other questions here before we jet? Diane from East Greenwich.
I just have one question. How many different lists do each of you generate for your resort email campaign?
Endless. You could create as many as you'd like, but then you could also, I forget what it's called, but then it's like more of a detail, like you could create, like every contact could have more than one, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe Robert, Dawn?
You can put multiple people in multiple lists, and that's what I have. I'll have
Right.
like first-time home buyers, specifically I'll have Scottsdale clients and non-Scottsdale clients, because those clients don't get the newsletter, the Scottsdale newsletter, but they'll get their own newsletter. I have it by neighborhood. I have it by I'm also invested in the arts. So, who's with the opera, who's with the ballet, that kind of, what's their interests? Because then if it's a rowing thing, I have like maybe, 30 people on that list that just gets those things.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you. All right, Skylar, you had a question?
Yes, so I am wondering if anyone has had any success with co-branding in their resort emails, such as maybe with a mortgage loan officer or a local, I don't know if this is a great example, but a local restaurant or any other real estate professionals. Do you have success with that as well as attracting people to open those emails?
I think co-branding works in print media, because email is really our own device, and we don't really need them to push that. I mean, we can promote them, as here's a lender that I use. But I mean, I don't think they really bring value to an email, because they have their own. It's all the template. It's all the same thing. You'll see the same thing with Fairway, and all the multiple lenders have the same content.
Okay,
And I would
awesome.
say, I would say no, like I don't do that at all. In fact, we kind of have a company policy. We don't co-list with other brands. We just are so heavy in our marketing and do such a good job with our marketing. So oftentimes we'll have other agents from other brokerages reach out and ask us to co-list. And it's usually because someone's, letting them go because they're planning on moving over and listing with us. And we just don't. I don't see the value in that. I feel like I've worked way too hard to kind of build my audience and my database. I don't want to share that.
Yeah, agreed,
Thank
100%. Okay, cool. Carrie Yeager, please unmute. I know you have a question. You raised your hand. Thank you.
You mentioned LinkedIn, and like how do you integrate the emails from there, or what's the best?
So LinkedIn, I've done it before. My suggestion, I don't know right now how to explain it because I just kind of click a bunch of stuff and do things. But I would say if you Google or go to YouTube, and by the way, guys, YouTube, #2 most searched search engine in the world. You should be on YouTube. Go to YouTube and then type in how to export LinkedIn contacts. And it's a free feature that LinkedIn has that I don't think a lot of people know about. So you can go ahead, just weed through who you have on there because you don't want to spam them. But Carrie, great question. Where are you from, Carrie?
Texas, Austin.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Austin, Texas. Great stuff. All right. Do we have any quick last minute questions before we jump off? I do. All right. So Jennifer Vargas.
My question is, I know that there's our competition also has amazing listings as well. Do you guys get permission from those agents to cross advertise at all? Or are we only advertising our own shop's listings?
That's a smart question. So the IDX, and Dawn, maybe you can answer this too, but the IDX, as long as it specifies underneath where the listing is coming from, you could put anything out there. So it's a great way to kind of get in front of people. The fine print, not everybody reads. But also I look at it like, you know what, we're all peers here. If somebody at Remax here in Rhode Island or Sotheby's or Compass, if they've got a listing and I'm friendly with them, I might even call them and say, hey, can I promote your listing? Why not? Let's help each other out. It's going out to all of my clients. They want to sell it. Why not? Dawn, what were you going to say?
I don't, again, I just don't. I think we have people that share our listings, but most of the markets that we're in, quite honestly, we have the best listings. So I just don't. So not to be selfish, but, no.
I love it. And I don't disagree with that either. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. If you have a lack of listing inventory, why not share other people's? I think that could be a great idea. But if you are Dawn and you've listed, your whole state plus some, 168 million a year. That's amazing. Then only put your listings out there. That's
Well, or
great
share them
stuff.
from your office. I mean, definitely share them from your shop and for, with your other advisors. We definitely do that, but we don't. In fact, we have Wanderlust Wednesday I do on my social media, and I share listings from other markets, from other Angle Invokers shops. But I'm just so brand loyal. And I think what we have going here as a network is so special that if you don't want to join us, then you don't get invited.
Yep, and that's another way of looking at it too, definitely. So you can also find your feeder markets and post those as well. Those are great. So I'd like to give a quick thank you to Robert Rogers, E&V Scottsdale, Arizona, Dawn Maddox, E&V Western Frontier, and Lisa Stone with E&V Delray Beach. You guys did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody here.
Thank you.